Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this cute little Christmas Scottie treat to hold a special bit of holiday cheer for someone special. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how I got started. I'm going to start with my Handmade tag punch, and I am going to unlock it, and then I'm going to slide in my designer series paper, and depending on which size you would like, you can use either. But you want to punch it facing you if possible. So I'm going to slide this in. There we go. I've got this in, and I want to make sure I've taken it and lined it up with the outside edge of the punch. That gives me a consistent measurement, and I'm going to punch. And then I'm going to repeat on the other side. You'll need to thread this through the punch, and you'll want to make sure your corners are nice and straight. So I've got that in again. I'm checking for the edge, and I'm going to punch. I'm going to set these two pieces of designer series paper scraps to the side because I'll use that later on. Once I have this done, I'm ready to bring in my scoreboard. I already have my punched piece and I'm ready to score my mint macaron. So I'm going to bring this in and score it at 1/4 inch and then at 2 inches. And then I'm going to turn it onto its side and I'm going to score at 3 3/4 and 5 inches. And at this point I'm done with my scoreboard and I can set it to the side. I'm going to bring in my paper snips and I'm going to snip the sides of this strip with my paper snips meeting at the score line where the two score lines intersect. And I'm going to pull out these little wedges, and then I'm going to do that again on the other side. Once I have that done, I can bring in my two sides and my tear and tape. And I'm going to add some adhesive along the bottom of these two edges. While I have my tear and tape out, I'm also going to add tear and tape along the 4 sides of the box. And I'm going to simply add that below the score line. If you need to, you can score these first so you can see better. I'm not worried about the tear and tape going off the edge of the cardstock because I can fold it back on itself so that that adhesive won't be an issue. And the last piece here on this 4th 1/4 inch edge. There we go. I can put my score tear and tape away and I'm ready to start assembling my box. So I'm going to burnish all of the adhesive with my bone folder. That's just going to make it a little easier to take my adhesive backing off. And I'm going to adhere down that side right here up to the score line on both the right and the left. There we go. I'm going to fold all of the edges now on those score lines. Okay, since the tear and tape is pulling over the edge of your cardstock, you'll want to be careful as to where you put the other things on your desk so you don't accidentally adhere to something you don't want to. I've got the sides done and I'm ready to pull off that tear and tape layer. And I'm going to fold this back on itself. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. It's real quick and easy. And then I'm going to bring in the side and adhere it down, lining up that edge. You'll want to be careful because once the tear and tape's in place, it's difficult to get unstuck, but you can use your heat tool if you need to pull something apart carefully, applying the heat and then pulling slowly and repeating as necessary. Okay, I've got that side back on itself and I'm placing the side down Oops, and I must have measured on this, so my sides are a little kittywampus. I'll make sure that the measurement on the PDF is exactly what you need. The third side. And I'm going to pull out this fourth little tab, remove the tear and tape, and fold it back on itself, and then carefully place it back in and set down gently. All right, now for this project, I'm simply going to take my paper snips and snip this so that it's level. It's the wonderful thing about cardstock, we can always adjust as need be. But like I said, I'll make sure the PDF is correct for you. I'm going to bring in the strip that I punched earlier, and I'm going to set this in the center, and I am going to pull this up on each side and make sure that my sides line up the way I want them, and then I'm going to finger fold on each one of these sides. Once I've got it folded with my fingers, I can take it over to my scoreboard and score it with the tool, and then make a nice tight line with my bone folder so that everything is nice and secure. Okay, I've got that done, and I'm going to adhere my box in the center of this. I'm going to use some of my liquid, but you can use the tear and tape also. Place it in the center and pull up on each side. There we go. Once I've got that adhered, I'm ready to decorate. So let me show you how I do that. So I'm going to bring in my basic white cardstock and my little Scottie dog here, along with the sentiment. And this little Scottie dog is really a solid image, and so it requires a lot of ink. One of the tips that I use is the Versamark first, and then add your tuxedo on top of that. The Versamark will help it stick well and give you a nicer, solid image. Press down since it's photopolymer and hold for 3 seconds, and then bring in your real red and your sentiment piece and stamp that above the little Scottie's head. Now I'm going to cut this out with my layering circle, and we'll finish decorating. I've got my layering circle cut out now, and I need to punch a little bow for my Scottie dog's neck. I'm going to bring in my punch and simply punch out one of the bows, flip it over, and once I decide which side I would like, I'm going to add a mini dimensional in the center, or you can even add one on each side of the bow so it's nice and stable. There we go. I'm going to take the backings off, but before I attach that to my Scottie, I'm going to adhere this little pup and sentiment onto the coordinating real red layering circle, just for a little pop of color there. And then I'm going to pick up the bow and place it right on his neck. There we go. Really cute and simple. I'm going to adhere my Scottie dog onto my little treat holder now, simply by adding a little adhesive onto the back. If you would prefer, you can also use dimensionals, but that's up to you. And let's see, I think I'm going to place him close to the top, because I'm going to bring in this beautiful real red ribbon, wrap it around the bottom, and tie a little bow. This will hold the two sides on to the treat holder, and it'll just give it a nice pop of color. Once I've got my bow in place, I can adjust it a little bit and trim my ends as I would like. There we go, and my treat holder is ready to be filled with all kinds of holiday goodies. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.